It's the 10 to 1 podcast with your host, Brad Oman, featuring Ben Konowitz and Nate Loucks. And here's the podcast.
Yeah, buddy.
Welcome, friends. Good to have you here on another episode of the 10 to 1. And there's a new episode of Saturday Night Live to talk about.
We did it.
Oh, yeah. We were very much responsible for this.
There is a new episode that was hosted by none other than John Mulaney. Jonathan Edward Mulaney III. Not his real full name.
Nope. John Six-Time Mulaney.
Yes, this is his 6th time hosting. Previously joined the Five Timers Club, obviously. And whenever John Mulaney comes back to host, it's a treat because even though he's not a former cast member, he's a former writer.
Might as well be.
Yeah, he appeared at the Weekend Update desk a few times. He's responsible for co-creating and writing Stefan with Bill Hader and all that stuff. And it's just a treat when he comes back because he is a seasoned comedian. He knows his way around sketch comedy. Even if he's not necessarily the most diverse performer when it comes to performing in sketches, he just gets it. He knows how to do it, and he plays to his strengths. And he also he's one of the few people who has kind of a tradition when he comes back to host where he's been doing these New York City-based musical sketches that are always elaborate and hilarious.
Crazy.
Specific niche things that still work on a broad level. And so, yeah, he brought all that stuff to this episode, and it was, well, just to tease it, I'll say a lot of fun.
Oh, hell yeah. This is great.
It was terrible. But it's fine.
Whoa!
You're
kidding.
joking.
Guys,
You're
I got
joshing
jokes.
around.
I got jokes. I will say this, because I've not talked to you guys about this, but does John Mulaney look different to you guys?
I mean, ever since rehab,
yeah,
it's just
it
different.
feels like he has a more square jaw.
Thank you. I think he's had like some work done.
I'm not sure.
I think he had
I don't
some
know
work
if it's
done.
that, or if maybe he's just not as puffy anymore because he's not drinking and doing
there's-
drugs.
there's
It's the hair, too. He's grown out his hair.
Yeah.
You know, so
I don't
his
know.
face
That
just
just seems-
is framed differently.
Yeah, it really is. I also
The square jaw, I'm like, oh, maybe he's like hitting the gym hard, but I'm like, but then I look at his like arm, like the rest of his body doesn't look like he's getting swole.
No, I don't think
Like-
he's getting swole, but I do think he used to look more like a string bean person, and
He did.
now he feels like he
Back
has
when
some
he was
definition
high,
to
yeah.
his body.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you know, drugs will do that to
Yeah,
you. Like,
exactly.
he's just malnourished.
Yeah,
you know?
I feel like he had a chin tune-up. I do.
I don't.
Yeah, it's
no,
not just
'cause
getting off the drugs.
I don't think it's his chin though. I think it's his jawline.
Yeah, he was arrested with like a huge bag of coke and Adderall, and I feel like those two things are going to make you not.
Yeah.
eat.
It'll do it.
And I'm sure he was drinking a lot too.
Yeah, that's
No, that he
he's
had
partying,
firm
party boy.
lines.
Yeah.
Party.
about drinking.
of cocaine.
But he, in addition to that, I saw somebody post about it. It was like they were making a joke. They're like, "Why did nobody tell me that John Mulaney's becoming Peter Gallagher?"
Oh, he could definitely play his son.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially with the
100%.
eyebrows now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think he looks good though.
No, he does.
yeah.
He looks good. It's just there's something that looks, and like you said, I do think
Something
he's
that
not,
looks worked on.
he's not strung out, right? And so that helps. And he's not like high as a kite
He's just tired because he's a new dad.
He
with
is.
a bunch of short people.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Cold open. Nate.
Bring it in.
All right, the 2024 pre-election cold open, written by Mike DeCenzo, Sudie Green, Allison Gates, Ken Sublett, and Streeter Seidel. CNN's Caitlin Collins, played by Chloe Feynman, checks in with Kamala Harris, played by Maya Rudolph, and Donald Trump's James Austin Johnson. Campaigns on the eve of the 2024 election. This felt like we're saying goodbye to some of the characters that have
100%.
been, in this.
Andy
So their
Samberg,
swan song.
100%. His wording was like he said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could have done
It's
like
"And
so
for,
long
for the last time.
Well, I mean, on top of that too, I feel like I don't know if the audience was told or if it just felt like it or whatever. But like when everyone left, everyone got applause,
Right.
like as if like
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like it was like
And I love that.
yeah, it was nice.
You know, not just because it's a nice homage to them, not homage, but like a recognition of
Yeah.
them. But at the same time, I like it because SNL realizes they don't have to do this. Like the next episode with Bill Burr doesn't have to have Jim Gaffigan and Andy
yeah, you don't
Samberg.
need all of them.
You know, what
you'll
I'm saying?
probably you'll probably
Cameos here and there.
Hopefully, you need Kamala.
Yeah.
But
well, regardless, you're gonna have.
Well, you're
Kamala.
gonna get both
Trump
of them
and-
in
yeah.
the next episode anyway.
Yeah.
Just to see what happens. But
So I did want to ask because this was, I think, the 10th or 11th time that a presidential candidate has been on the show. Now, Brad, being a Trump fan, were you upset that they didn't invite Donald Trump on?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's a violation of FCC rules. You know, you got to have equal time for the candidates, and I think that it was a piss poor, classless decision by Lauren Michaels. No, this.
Oh, that got me, man. What is he doing?
I mean, there were people on.
No.
on
To
X,
be fair, it legitimately could be a violation of FCC rules where you're supposed to provide equal time for candidates. That
I think Lauren Michaels said, "I don't care."
Yeah, I would imagine
either that or they offered.
They easily could have.
And Trump's like, and I'm going to be in wherever I'm at.
Here's the thing, too, is
I'm going to be jacking off a microphone stand.
when I hosted, I used to host, for our listeners, I used to host a political radio show on our local
big
political
boy.
show. But we had to follow FEC rules for that. And so 60 days or 30 days before an election, a primary, and then 60 days before a general, if I invited a candidate, whether they're for governor or for city council, I had to invite every candidate for then. Here's how you get around it.
Ooh, go on.
You invite them, but you don't have to be open to their schedule, right? And
Yeah.
So you find out when they're going to be speaking somewhere?
We have it at this time. Can you make it? And if they say no, then...
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
and
hilarious.
So that's how you get, and that's how I did get around. So
it's going to be...
Donald Trump, you can be on SNL, but it's going to be the last 10 minutes of the show, which is going to be at 10 to 1 a.m. Eastern time. Can you make it? Would you like to be on?
Yeah, that's when he's up.
You just
he's
have
on
to
Truth
have,
Social,
yeah.
posting his 19th Truth post
If you
of the
think
day.
Donald Trump is awake at 10 p.m.,
He's
I
already
think
at 1
he is. I
a.m.
think he's on some stuff. Too.
He's
on
late night guy.
like ADHD.
You've seen when he posts, right?
I think
it's always overnight.
you can automate that stuff. I know that
Oh yeah.
No. Not let me be
The
clear.
idea that he's not
No,
typing away.
Let me be clear. Not him doing it either, but he's got a team that has that set up. He'll probably write it himself, and they'll schedule it for to make it seem like
I promise you, he's literally just pressing send at 1:24 in the AM from his phone.
I think
He's
Ben's
so
right.
old. He's so old.
I don't think he trusts anybody
he
else.
doesn't,
to do
though.
it.
Yeah.
He's such a micromanager too. And so
I have my own message. I want to get it out there.
who else is going to randomly capitalize
Exactly.
words
There's
in a
a-
tweet? You think somebody like?
Oh no, I still think he writes them, but I just wonder if they just get scheduled at a later
I
time.
think
Because there's so many of them.
I would be literally willing to bet you 10 to 1 odds that there's just no way.
Is that because we're on the 10 to 1 podcast?
The idea though that his team has enough control to be we're definitely gonna Donald, this one needs to go out at 1:24 a.m.
Yep. Our data suggests this. Nope. He didn't care.
Anyway, long story short, I liked how they did this. They started off with the debate, but then they turned the TV off. Now it's in the green room. They get everybody their cameo, and then it ends with Kamala Harris herself coming in. Wonderful. All the way through. I don't know that you could do a better send-off / political cold open right before the election.
Agreed.
Yeah.
James Austin Johnson also is still
Tremendous.
finely tuning his Donald Trump.
Gosh darn.
Because if you listen to Donald Trump now, he's also getting lower energy a little bit, but he does this thing, and James Austin Johnson does such a good job where Donald Trump does this thing. And he just parrots it so well.
This was again.
And I thought he was just great in this as well.
I'll always say this: James Austin Johnson's Donald Trump impression is always fantastic. It's masterful. It's incredible
At a skill technical level.
Yeah, exactly.
Always.
But just because he's good at that doesn't mean that the stuff is always funny. And this was a classic example of all of the stuff that Trump has said over the past week, few days, is so ludicrous and stupid and dumb, and the microphone sex thing where it looks like he's sucking off the microphone and jerking it off. Nothing that SNL can do is funnier than as ridiculous as that.
I still laughed at all that stuff though.
I didn't really. I thought I was like, oh yeah, of course they're gonna do that. Of course, I get it.
For some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason, I'm with you, Ben. I thought James Austin Johnson's stuff, and I don't always, but I thought it was funny this time.
I think that because it's so hard to parody, I think that he not gets a pass here. I think he did find a way to parody it, because I watched the clip of Trump doing it, and you watch James Austin Johnson. There's exaggeration. There's truncating the different things that he did and making it into a 30-second clip. There's a little nuance there, and I liked it.
It's fine. I think the one part that actually made me laugh was I for some reason I always like when he leaves out a word when he's like, I was in garbage truck. And stuff like that is fun.
So what did you guys think of Kamala Harris? How they brought her into this sketch? I love that she seemed to be having fun. Like,
Oh, yeah.
genuinely,
Genuinely, too.
loving this moment. It was not like she didn't even seem to. Certainly, I'm sure she had nerves, but it didn't seem to be too big for her.
I don't even
like,
know that she had nerves. Like,
she was just
this is
smiling
the
from ear to ear,
presidential
loving
candidate.
everybody. And then you see
it's
them
just
right
SNL.
by each other, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, Maya Rudolph and
Yeah.
her could be
So
sisters."
my girlfriend and I watched that cold open together, and she, as they were side by side, Ashley goes, "I just didn't realize how much Maya Rudolph sounds exactly like her."
When they did the
Yeah,
first
her
laugh
impression is
together, it was like
Yeah.
they were in sync.
I thought only one of them was laughing.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then also like she was smart enough to know too, because she said her first line very quickly when the crowd was still cheering for her and no one heard it. And then finally, when it died down, she said it again. You know, so she knows.
She has that ability. Yeah.
Yeah, it was infinitely better than anything the other candidate had ever did on SNL at any given point.
Yeah.
well, he got to host his own episode.
So that was the time thing. They owed Kamala a lot from back then.
Yeah, she was fantastic.
That was just great.
She had good timing. They obviously had a lot of fun doing it. It's a throwback to a bit that I guess you could say is now classic, when Fallon did it with Mick Jagger in front of the mirror. They didn't entirely do the same bit where she was like they were doing like the impressions and mirroring each other, but it was just great.
It
to
was
see
very,
them together.
very good. She came across very polished, very, very, very eloquent, and stage performer.
Yeah.
You don't really get to see politicians all that often be that good at it. So I was very happy.
I also love this moment for Maya Rudolph, because she's talked a little bit about this in interviews, how she never really had her character, right? Like, she never had her moment where she was the star of the show.
Yeah.
And she's definitely having her moment to shine, and it's a reminder of what an incredible... I mean, I think all of us knew she's an incredible talent, but it really does allow her to feature what an incredible... She's a skilled impressionist, we knew this, an incredible performer, and she has carried many of these sketches and done such a great job.
Yes.
So... let's move on.
Oh, real quick, one thing that's interesting. I don't know if you guys, Ben, I don't think you're caught up on it. Nate, you might be. But the Lonely Island, Seth Meyers podcast.
I'm not caught up.
And Andy Samberg had talked about, they talked about when he did Beetlejuice with Michael Keaton and whatnot. And he had mentioned, he's like, it's interesting because he's like, it's been really fun being back at the show. He's like, but I've also realized I have re-inherited the stress of what SNL used to be like when I was there, because it's exciting and you feel it, but you also feel like the stress and the worry. And he's like, me and Maya, we definitely still have a thing where now we're older. We're not quite as worried, but you're still in the middle of it, and that stress is still there.
Yeah.
The one thing that I took away from the Lonely Island podcast, the episodes that I've heard, was how Andy Samberg in particular was like, I am so grateful for the time on the show. It aged me horribly.
Yeah,
like,
I think
he didn't really love that aspect at all.
He appeared on, I think it was Kevin Hart's Peacock talk show that he has, Heart to Heart, where he has someone on for like an hour and they just talk about everything.
Is that the one with him and Melissa Joan Hart?
But
That's Heart and Heart.
Oh, sorry.
I think that's where he specifically said that he left SNL because he knew that if he didn't, it was going to kill him.
Yeah,
like he was like not like
mentally,
good mental health space.
And it just that just goes to show you that comedians are just as vulnerable as dramatic actors as like killing themselves for their craft.
Oh,
and
for sure.
Sometimes even more so.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on. John Mulaney's stand-up monologue written by John Mulaney. 6-time host John Mulaney does stand up about his kids, his parents, and physical therapy. Now, we've seen John Mulaney do 6 different stand-up monologues now on SNL. I'm going to say, loved this entire episode. I didn't think this was his best.
No, not his best, but I also didn't think it was bad by any means.
I just thought it was okay.
The fuck is wrong with the both of you? This was awesome.
Really?
That's why I'm saying it wasn't
This
bad
was
by any
very
means.
good.
You thought this stand-up bit was very good, huh?
And it's probably because I have a torn labrum. And I'm not joking, I do.
No, I will say I don't think that it feels quite as polished as his usual stuff, but it was still very funny.
And I have no complaints here. I love the negative 1 foot tall. Mm-hmm. I love the 3 of us and our vaginas talking about the physical therapy. I love the old people with the Band-Aid on the back of their hand. It's so the best stand-up comedy that's observational in my humble opinion is stuff that like when you're hearing it, you go, how in the hell have I never had this conversation with one of my friends and made this joke before? Because it's so easy. Anybody could make this joke, but then why haven't you? That's the kind of stuff that I love, and that's what he's honestly one of the best in the world at.
One of the things that I appreciated, just because it adds an interesting level to it, and it's fully intentional, but like he talks about his wife, but he never says
Olivia Munn?
Yeah, exactly. You know, like it's never made entirely clear. Like if you know, you know. If you don't, it's not really important because like what he's talking about doesn't really require you to know who she is.
And again, Colin Jost has done that. You know, kind of talked about his wife when he did stand up at Four Winds or whatever. He did the same thing where he talked about his wife. And if you know, you know. That makes it funnier, but it wasn't necessarily. You didn't need to know it was Colin Jost to get the bit. You know. It's
that idea of like it doesn't matter if their wife is famous; it's still their wife, and they still have husband-wife things. Yeah,
sure. I loved it. I thought it was great.
It was very funny, Nate. I think you're a little bit wrong.
I didn't think it was unfunny. John Mulaney can't be unfunny. I just felt like he finished stronger than he started.
You can't tell like him laughing at himself saying that.
John Mulaney often doesn't laugh at himself either.
My grandfather is so old that he was too old to go to World War II, which is the oldest thing that has ever happened. That's a great fucking joke.
Yeah,
that's almost closer level. Like that's so fucking funny.
I did see some people on Twitter though today complaining about he's saying that his Asian jokes were racist.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
And that person was Brad.
What I don't even understand what was racist about them. Like he's talking about real people who are shorter than he is.
Yeah, he didn't say all Asians are short. He said these are who they are.
Like their point was
why do you have to say that they were Filipino?
Yeah, exactly. Why did they have to? Why? What did that add that they were Asian, other than to point out that Asians are smaller?
It's just true.
Yeah, that's just a fact.
If I get canceled for saying that the Asian population,
have you seen Yao Ming?
Is by and large, pun intended, shorter in stature historically, and that's not a good or a bad thing. It is just a fact.
Right.
That's why it's not weird.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I think it is. Comedy is hard now because, especially like on social media, right? Themselves. Like it is hard.
It's just so stupid.
All right, moving on. What's That Name? Election Edition, written by John Mulaney, Simon Rich, and Marika Sawyer. The host of What's That Name, played by Michael Longfellow, hosts a game show where contestants, played by John Mulaney and Sarah Sherman, try to guess the names of political figures relevant to the 2024 election. There's a cameo by Senator Tim
Scott.
Tim Kaine.
Tim Clinton.
I loved this. This
is great.
This was so funny. I loved bringing back Tim Kaine. By the way, great sport.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
He's a current senator, and he's coming in as kind of the butt of a joke a little bit, right?
100%. And he looks so much like
I
Tim
am
Waltz.
very politically plugged in, and I had to go, what is his name?
I full on forgot his name.
Yeah. Which is embarrassing.
Yeah,
because that was the man that was a heartbeat away from the presidency.
So this is great, sharp satire. I loved how, and let's be honest, there was a little bit of satire or a little bit of cultural critique for the people that say, the online warriors that are like, I'm so concerned.
It's the most important election in the history of democracy. Yeah, there's a lot of poking fun at the self-righteousness of certain people fighting, on that side.
Which tend to be pretty liberal people, and so it was certainly
it's perfectly cast John Mulaney.
I will say though, compared to the original version of this sketch, I didn't like this one as much because it didn't feel like it was as strong of a use of the concept. Like I don't want them to repeat that again because that was already funny by itself. This is an interesting enough spin, and the use of Tim Kaine did help it for me.
Of course.
I still thought it was funny. For me though, the part that I thought was really funny was the reveal that Sarah Sherman was Margaret Atwood. Yeah. That was fucking hilarious.
That's really good. Yeah.
But before that, it kind of felt like a little too long of like oh yeah, we get it. Like it's I
don't know. I still was there for the whole thing because
I was there for the whole thing.
It wasn't too long for me. I just thought I remember the original one. It was very good. The doorman.
Yeah.
And all that. Just the people you overlook in your normal life. But I also do really love. You win $5. Now for $300,000.
That's what the original one did.
No, I know.
That's
one of my favorite parts about
Yeah.
this sketch is that they know, right, that it's for $10 million.
And Bill Hader hosted the first one. I'll say this: Michael Longfellow, great job.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He had a couple good looks in the couple good
I'm a
Keenan looks.
sitting senator from Virginia. Okay, pal.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's got incredible deadpan delivery for these game show host roles.
Yeah,
I love it.
I really enjoyed what
So why'd
he
you
was
hate the
doing.
sketch, Brad?
I didn't hate it. I just thought that it wasn't as good as the
I feel
first
like
time
he
around.
did though.
I feel like you didn't like it.
Oh.
Like,
What do you got against Tim Calhoun?
all right, moving on. Beppo. This is a Dan Bulla short, written by Dan Bulla, Stephen Castilla, Mike DeCenzo, and Jake Norwind. When a NASA mission encounters a problem, the flight director, played by John Mulaney, must inform Beppo, the chimp, about the unfortunate news. The cast also includes Mikey Day, Ego Wodum, Andrew Dismukes, Michael Longfellow, James Austin Johnson, and Sarah Sherman.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Couple
I'm
comments
so
about
hard.
this. Couple comments. Firstly, incredible puppetry, and I
No.
absolutely mean this.
An
So good.
an outstanding
It's
puppet.
so good.
So much that you could tell the audience was rooting for Beppo.
It was true.
He felt like a real character.
I add so much depth to the sketch.
Yeah.
Oh my word! And as I was watching this, I kept on thinking, "You better not freaking."
I'm not
kill
joking.
Beppo.
My ostensibly my stepson was in the room, kind of watching this one, and I saw, oh God, don't rip the monkey's head off or something.
Yeah.
It's gonna scar him for. He's 10. Like it's good because he was watching it like, oh.
This was a risky sketch that paid off.
Oh God,
like,
yes,
this was hilarious. But there, I'm not lying. There were times where the delivery of John Mulaney or like the monkey or the Beppo, like I make proud, or like
make Earth proud.
Yeah, and it's like, oh dear God, this is
And then
is,
just
like
the cut to
sad.
the cut to turn the mic back on. It's help. I cried laughing. I was fucking dying. I couldn't stop.
And the
help.
production, I think this was directed by Mikey Day, so kudos to him as well.
It was directed by Dan Bulla. I'm pretty sure that's the whole reason why it says a Dan Bulla short at the end.
Maybe.
Nah.
Yeah, you're probably right. So, Brad, what did you think of this?
I love this. I was surprised to see the Saturday Night Live Midnight Matinee logo return.
Yeah,
because I wasn't sure if that was going to be just for My Best Friend's House thing. Now it's clearly that this is maybe a Dan Bulla like trademark thing that he's going to do before his shorts. I'm also curious as to like if this is a thing that he actively pursued doing stuff like this more often. Since he's never had his own signature thing before. And again, we've only seen Please Don't Destroy once this season. So I don't know if they're, busy doing other stuff or
from who?
He's making that up.
Nate.
But no, I wonder if they've been busy doing other things. Obviously, they're still writing on the show, but like I don't know if maybe they're not doing as many videos because Dan Bulla stepped up to do more stuff like
and
this.
They could already be working on 50th anniversary stuff too.
That's possible. I
mean,
don't know.
If for all intents and purposes, Lauren needs and wants that to be his crowning achievement of his career.
No, that's true.
By the way, I was right. Mikey Day directed this.
Oh wow!
I wonder why they'd say a Dan Bulla short at the end though, because like you usually only do that if it's like your film that you directed.
Yeah, on Dan Bulla's Instagram, he wrote this with obviously the other three writers, and he says directed by Mike Diva, which I think is Mikey Day.
No, Mike Diva is an actual like separate person.
Is that right?
Wait, are you just inferring things, Nate? Come on.
Yeah,
I thought Mike Diva was. What is Mikey Day's Instagram?
So Nate has been giving a lot of credit to Mikey Day.
No. 'Cause Mike Diva is only a director. He's only like directs things, but he's not a writer. But you're right. It is director of pre-tape shorts at SNL.
Yeah.
SNL.
So that my big question is what is
I wonder
capacity then?
Yeah,
is it his production house?
I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit this week because that is a great question. What does that entail? Because I think Robert Smigel did everything right on a Robert Smigel kind of short, like
Yeah,
obviously had help, but like he was.
So my guess is much like Smigel, this is something that Dan Bulla turns in to Lauren.
Yeah,
fully done, right? So it doesn't matter who directed it, who wrote it, whatever. Dan Bull is responsible for pulling it all together, producing it, and then giving it to the show. That's my guess.
That's interesting. Yeah, I would be curious to. I'm gonna see if I can find out, because I've been thinking about trying to reach out to talk to Dan Bulla about these shorts and see like if
I would love to hear that. Yeah,
talk about it, like what's going on with them, and like just dig
They're
into
great.
it.
They're
no,
great.
and I just want to see more and more. Of
I've
them.
rewatched My Best Friend's House several times because I've been showing it to so many people. I think that it's even more brilliant than I thought it was initially. It's just a very tight, like perfectly pieced together short, like with the music, the production design, everything. There's even more foreshadowing than you think. Like even when you watch it again, like obviously you see the stuff that repeats, that is the part of the sketch that she realizes stuff is wrong. But a friend of the Go Flix Yourself pod, Charlie Young, he's been obsessed with it too. And one of the things he noticed is that in one of the early shots outside the house, the van that's parked outside, the license plate says X word KILR for for crossword killer. Like yeah, there's a lot of extra stuff in it.
A lot of Easter eggs.
Yeah, it's I like it a lot. I would really like to dig into more. So I'm gonna see what I can do.
Yeah, please do. Kudos to Dan Bulla. All right, moving on. Port Authority, Dwayne Reed. A Dwayne Reed cashier, played by John Mulaney, rings up two customers, played by Pete Davidson. Welcome back to the show, and introduce Mukes. It also features Keenan Thompson, Ego Wodum, James Austin Johnson, Sarah Sherman, Michael Longfellow, Marcelo Hernandez, Bowen Yang, Chloe Feynman, Devin Walker, Emil Wackham, and Jane Wickline. There's also a cameo by longtime former cast member. He's back again in this one, so he's in two sketches this episode. Andy Samberg. What did you guys think of this? They've done these musical numbers I don't know if it's everyone, but in many.
I think it is everyone.
Yeah, in many.
As soon as you see the open, you immediately know what it is.
Yeah, people were cheering. They knew.
And you're like, all right, what do we got in store?
Take me on this journey.
Let's get fucking weird.
Yeah,
and they did.
I think that the first half is a little shaky.
Yeah.
I think that the Lion King stuff didn't work quite as well. There was something about like the rhythm of the lyrics with the music that didn't feel quite right. The timing was obviously also off with the milk apparatus, which happens from time to time.
Yeah, I think also I think Keenan's mic was in the costume in a little bit of a weird way because the audio music was a little bit louder than his.
Yeah,
like I don't know, there was something like you said technical that didn't feel right.
Where it picked up steam though, and where it started soaring was when Bowen Yang showed up for me.
Yeah,
that was executed flawlessly. It was his performance was really funny, and then everything after that was great. From the Timothy Chalamet parade to Andy Samberg doing the Hamilton as the bear that RFK Jr. killed.
I think for me the height of it was Andy Samberg.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really good. Also, just as a small bit, it was hilarious that Pete Davidson played himself.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Hey, here's your milk, Pete. Thanks, John.
Why do you think they brought him back? Right, any of the cast members.
I guarantee
John Mulaney.
I bet you.
Mulaney
wanted
Pete
Mulaney. Pete Mulaney.
They're brothers now.
No, I bet you Mulaney wanted him back just to do something fun.
Okay.
I liked his when the audience cheered for him. Davidson gave him a cute little wink, like he told us, like, "Yeah, thanks, guys."
No, and I do love that's probably just John Mulaney going, hey guys, I'm going to bring Pete in for this one. Is that cool? And everyone's like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That seems to be the vibe of this whole season.
Also,
right?
I thought he looked healthy.
He looks good.
Well, he also has had, I just saw this, weird that I know this, but.
He's been drinking a lot of milk.
He had a bunch of tattoos covered, removed.
Removed. Yeah.
Maybe that's why he looked generally healthier.
On his, you can see him in the sketch. I noticeably saw they're faint. They're there, but they're really faint.
Yeah, he's getting them removed. And
you didn't really notice that?
No, I really didn't. But I wasn't really paying attention to that. But like even his face, like he just didn't look like his eyes didn't look as sullen. Like he just generally looked healthier.
Yeah, it's drugs.
No, and I do
he's
think
doing them, or he gave them up.
No, that's what happens when you stop doing drugs.
No, and I think he's had some struggles, and I think he is clean right now, right? And that helps.
So we should do drugs, or
to get skinny.
According to John Mulaney, yes.
Yeah, it works.
I love drugs.
There's a couple of things you need to know about the side effects, and you know what? We'll talk about those later. But yeah, for now, do drugs.
Can I keep doing them?
Yep.
Okay.
I think that's the message.
Is there a limit?
Well, for my doctor and me personally, he says that you can't really have too much Ozempic.
No. Don't worry.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, I'll find out.
All right, moving on. Weekend update, 2024 presidential election. Weekend Update anchors Colin Jost and Michael Che tackle the week's biggest news like a comedian at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally, calling Puerto Rico a floating pile of garbage. We've got 2 Weekend Update bits, but we'll get to those in a second. We do our bradometer.
94.
Wow, that is high. Why 94?
Because this asshole has been doing 89s and 90s for stuff that was nowhere near as interactive. There was a screen cap of Che.
Oh, it wasn't even a screen cap. It was
It was a live video, picture in picture, where they directly talked to each other in the same frame. How could it not be?
But that was one of the only things, though. There wasn't a ton of back and forth. There wasn't a ton of like jokey jokes.
There was the don't laugh at that. There was
there was the Dodgers thing, too.
I don't care because Brad is going to disappoint me yet again.
I'm gonna go. I like your theory though. He's been way higher than what you and I have been, so I'm gonna go with 90.
It was a 16 this week because. Okay, yeah, drum roll, please.
92.
Wow, and you were 94 or 95?
96.
96. I was closer.
You're closer without going over. Nate, you are the winner at 90.
Nate is the winner. He gets me and he knows my heart.
What would you have said it was?
I thought
it was good, but I wouldn't say 90.
I don't think that this was the highest of the season, even. But I will say the picture-in-picture thing does set it a little bit apart.
Because that's the first time they've ever done anything like that. Yep. It's usually just like a still photo, especially if it's a joke about Colin. But like the fact that he did like the live picture-in-picture was pretty funny.
Yeah.
No, and there were some good jokes.
Oh yeah.
People, I check out the SNL subreddit on Reddit and everything, and people are like, I'm just tired of Che not taking this seriously, and I'm like,
oh, fuck off.
This is what I want Michael Che to do, is to just
taking what seriously too? Like
it's
he's
the fake news.
Yeah. Well, like dismissive or like no, that's his bit.
Yeah, it's his vibe.
That's what he does.
It's kind of the whole thing.
Are you not watching the show?
That's so disappointing to me because all that says to me is, oh, I don't understand comedy. I just don't get it.
Yeah, ridiculous.
I shouldn't watch the show.
Mm-hmm. I agree. But all right, let's move on.
Why do Abbott and Costello have to be different sizes? Can't they both be skinny?
I don't know. That Norm Macdonald guy, I don't think he's taking it very seriously.
Weekend Update bits. There were two
the
of them.
The Three Stooges are too Jewish.
I tried, guys. I tried to move on.
God,
I knew where this was going. But
the Three Stooges are too Jewish.
All right, Weekend Update bit.
I don't think that's the same subreddit that Nate was on.
I'm so trying to move on, listeners. I'm so trying to save us all. All right, Weekend Update bit. Reba McEntire on the 2024 election, written by Carol O'Sullivan and Heidi Gardner. Country music star and the voice judge Reba McEntire, played by Heidi Gardner, stops by Weekend Update to discuss the 2024 election.
I just thought it was just something she did in this, and it was a treat both times.
I didn't love this.
What?
So the movement, her in the chair, her moving around. As soon as that started, I couldn't stop watching. It was fine, and then she starts gyrating and making these little moves. It really got me.
And maybe because I don't know what a good impression of Reba McEntire
is. It's this.
Is it? Okay.
So
also, don't watch it on your phone on YouTube. Watch it on a TV and so you guys see the. Okay, just making sure.
I watched it live.
Okay, good for you.
Did you watch it live?
No, I watched it the next day on Peacock. Okay, average American.
I watched it delayed later that night.
How late do you stay?
Wow, this
up?
is so boring.
No,
what did you guys think about the commercials in between?
I thought this was fine. I didn't think it was bad at all.
I thought this was so funny.
This was not for me.
The way that she said stinky flapping naturals.
I had to put Rune in the other room at that point. I was like, hey, buddy, not for you. This one's not for you, buddy.
That was one that I immediately thought.
Mama, what's stinky flapping naturals? Ben, stop letting him watch SNL with you.
That was a line though that I immediately thought Brad's gonna love that.
I laughed so hard when she said it both times.
That's so funny.
It's so funny.
But yeah, I didn't love it, but I recognized that a lot of people did. It just wasn't my vibe.
It kind of came out of nowhere. I'm not sure that it's not like Reba McEntire has been on
That's
the
what I'm saying.
political
Like,
campaign,
is
right?
she
It's
having
well,
a
no.
moment right now, or
Well,
what?
so she has a new show. She's still on The Voice.
she's still very popular.
I think that she has been like asked more recently because people are curious what her view on some of this stuff is, and she's not one to like be very forthcoming about it. Not in a way that is like elusive necessarily. It's just it's just exactly how she is. You know, she's Reba. She's Reba. This was so funny. There's something about using the phrase like
stinky flapping naturals.
Just naturals by itself is really funny too, because one of the funniest things that I ever loved on At Midnight, I don't even remember what the category was. I think it was like animal porn or something like that. And Brett Gelman, the fake porn title he gave was "Squirrels with Big Fat Naturals," and I absolutely
that's just
lost
a very
my
specific
mind.
to Brad joke. Then, yeah.
What can I say? I love a good natural boob joke.
Yeah, clearly.
All right, moving forward. Weekend update bit: the couple you can't believe are together. Written by Martin Herlihy, Ben Marshall, John Higgins, Marcelo Hernandez, Asha Ward, Jane Wickline. That's a lot of writers for a weekend update bit. The couple you can't believe are together, played by Marcelo Hernandez and Jane Wickline, stops by Weekend Update to talk about how they met and their unique relationship. I actually loved this one.
So,
yeah, sounds like someone owns Jane Wickline an apology, you assholes.
oh,
whoa. No, both of you.
Whoa.
Both of you.
I mean, here's the thing is, she was fine.
Oh, fuck you. She was hilarious in this bit. This is what I'm telling you. This is what she's really good at. This is her strength.
No, good. She finally had a good bit.
You
she had a
asshole.
good thing. Right, but no, it's fine. All we wanted was for her to actually be funny, and she was.
By the way, this is a very rare thing for a featured player to be at the Weekend Update desk twice in their first 5 episodes.
I think the last one was like...
It was Leslie Jones and Pete Davidson.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
This bit was funny out the gate. Then the fucking poem. I lost my fucking marbles. Like him slamming on the desk and like having her back with like and like being the dumbest guy on the planet.
Yeah.
And oh my God. It just was so funny. It's so funny.
Oh, speaking of the slamming on the desk too, that was another funny thing, and I think it was improvised with the Reba thing when she slammed her phone out. That's broken now.
These are both very good weekend.
Yeah, this was fantastic, and
also very creative,
and they both came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, I would have never thought teaming up Marcelo Hernandez and Jane Wickline in this way, like, and it was hilarious.
He was fucking totally bonkers over the top in the best way. She played the straight woman perfectly. Didn't like even hesitate to miss them. Like she hit her lines perfectly.
Yeah.
It's so hard to come off somebody's high energy like that and be deadpan, but not let him step on your line.
Yeah.
And be so her timing was perfect.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does remind you that there are other new cast members this season that we still don't really know.
Yeah.
Right? She is creating.
We're still waiting for Ashley Padilla to really make a splash. She's been in several sketches with quick bit parts, but she hasn't done anything super prominent yet. Emil Wackham, I think, has shined a little bit more because he had his time at the Weekend Update desk.
And it did well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ashley Padilla has not yet, so hopefully.
But Jane Wickline pulled to the front.
Yeah. Nate.
She did well.
Yeah.
No, she did.
As Brad and I said.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. Little Richard, written by John Mulaney,
man.
Jake Norman, Brian Tucker.
That's
and Mike
okay. Well,
DeSantis.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Every single time you're even introducing sketches, like I'm already starting to laugh again. So I know this episode was very good because it's rare that we just start remembering the sketches and immediately start laughing.
Well, so also I want to point out one of the things that really helped, I think, make this episode shine even more than your average episode. There were only 6 sketches in this episode because you had 2 that were over 8 minutes, including the cold open, and you had Mulaney's monologue, which was about 7 minutes. That's a big chunk of SNL real estate. And then otherwise...
And then the musical Port Authority was pretty long, too.
That's the one I was talking about. That was one of the 8-minute sketches.
Okay, yeah.
But it's... So this is, by all accounts, a pretty low count of sketches.
You got 22 minutes out of a total of probably 44 minutes of actual time because then you get the musical guest.
Exactly, and Weekend Update. So
Jesus,
so two Weekend Update bits, too, right?
So a small amount of sketches, but they all landed very well. Like even if I were to, and I did pick a worst sketch in my review on Slash Film.
How dare you?
But the worst sketch was not bad.
No,
at all.
No. There were no bad sketches in this
It's the
episode.
worst sketch, though.
Yeah. So, but like they were all very good.
How can a good sketch be the worst sketch?
by the I don't know how properties work. I guess like adjectives.
Why didn't you say there was no?
Yeah,
There was
you
none.
could have just been an actual thing for yourself. Or
Because one of them does have to be the worst.
No, it doesn't.
Why
If it's the least funny of a bunch of funny sketches,
What
then
if they're
that's-
equal?
They're not though.
But they could be.
But we've discussed it that they're not already. Like it's clear. I don't like. I'll teach you about adjectives sometime. If you want to talk about it.
All right.
But like,
All right,
but
hey Nate,
Okay, let me read about
Hey,
what Little Richard is
go ahead.
about.
But so when you have-
no, Brad, Nate, go ahead and read the. Please do your job.
when you have a shorter
Oh,
or a lower number of sketches, it does allow for a little bit greater like success rate. But also the fact that they were all that good is still impressive in itself. And so like that's for me. Like I think that's why this may end up being Mulaney's best overall episode, because I remember some of his previous ones.
It can't be the best overall because he said there's a worst
Oh my
sketch.
God,
in
you don't
the show.
understand. There were some stinkers when Mulaney has hosted before, but like this entire episode was strong.
Oh, it's very good.
But there is a stinker.
Yeah, there's a stinker.
There's not a stinker.
Well, I don't know that you could say worst, but not a stinker.
Yeah, it's the worst episode, but it's still not a stinker. Yeah, I just don't like.
We get it, Nate. We get it, and the audience gets it, and that's really
All
the
right,
most important.
moving on. All right, let me read this about Little Richard. The creator of the sitcom Family Bonds, portrayed by John Mulaney, discusses the show in an interview with PBS. Little Richard, played by Kenan Thompson, makes a guest appearance in the sitcom Family Bonds. This was so much fun.
was
The
great.
90s,
Did you realize this was a recurring sketch?
with Family Bond
No,
or the PBS looking at the.
not even specifically that. Just with John Mulaney as J. Paul Todd,
Oh, no.
a sitcom creator. Because last time he appeared on another program where Cecily Strong was the host, and they talked about the sitcom Switcheroo.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And so this is the same character that they did for
God,
a
that's
new
funny.
sitcom.
So the thing that makes this sketch great instead of good is the hyper focus on the fact that Little Richard overstayed his welcome
Yeah.
is such a fucking funny choice.
Well, that and also the way Mulaney's character like reflects on stuff.
Absolutely. That's right there with it. Like, oh, you're not going to show the whole show? Yeah, it's just a clip. Well, your choice. Like he's so cocky, right?
Yeah.
But Keenan's Little Richard, and just like the escalation, right?
Yeah.
He's the one that kills the dog, and yeah, we chose to show the whole thing. That's so fucking funny.
So one of my favorite things about Keenan's Little Richard is that it's basically Tracy Morgan's Brian Fellow.
It is. Yes.
It is like there's almost no difference whatsoever.
There's no self-awareness of Little Richard at all. He just is in his own world, and he's so petty and like this bus station skank or whatever he called it. Like, I'm prettier. Yes, audience, I'm talking directly to you.
It was so funny.
It's good. This is so good.
I love this sketch
Nate?
so much.
Loved it. Yeah, I loved it. And like I said, I love the kind of throwback to TGIF.
Oh
you
yeah.
know?
Step by step.
Yeah.
Well, the font was actually Full House.
Yeah, but TGIF had step by step.
So did Full House was also on TGIF
Yes.
before Step by Step came along.
Calm down.
I'm sorry that you don't know enough about ABC sitcom television like I do, but you know.
Did
it's
you
fine.
That's not
Did
the
you watch
that's
it?
not the brag that you think.
Sorry,
it
what?
is.
Did you watch Full House? When it was on?
I watched.
Are you too old?
I watched Full House.
Or
I
too
watched
young?
Family Matters. I watched Step by Step. I watched Hanging with Mr. Cooper. I watched Boy Meets World. I watched all those fucking
These
shows.
are not the brags you think they are.
Not only is this a brag, but I have huge nuts.
All right, final one. New York City Council campaign written by Will Steven and Brian Tucker. A commercial advertises Harvey Epstein's campaign for his city council election run. Harvey Epstein, played by John Mulaney. Now, you guys know, I'm sure, that this is a real candidate in New York City.
I did not know
until John Mulaney said it in the sketch. I didn't know.
I didn't believe it even when he said it.
No,
in
he
the
said
sketch.
it-
I thought it was part of the bit of like the character saying, "Yes, I'm a real person." But yeah,
I took that to mean, oh, this is a real
no.
person.
But I found out later Harvey Epstein is a real New York City council
That is
candidate,
so
which
unfortunate.
is hilarious. But what I liked about it is that even though initially I thought this was going to be a very niche New York thing of like they are seeing some kind of specific political ad that we're not seeing, but it still played broadly because of the way that they approached it. I'm happy to hear that not only was it an actual, real, very specific thing, but it still landed in exactly the way that I thought it would, because it's absolutely hilarious the way it plays. And also, John Mulaney looks surprisingly great in a bald cap.
Nate, what'd you think of this?
Chin.
It is the chin helps
Yeah.
for sure.
What'd you think about this?
I loved this one. Again, it is one that you.
Well, you're
kinda,
a big Weinstein Epstein fan anyway, right?
Oh boy.
I mean, now I wouldn't say huge anymore, but
anymore.
I did love this. It had the ability to be paint by numbers, and it kind of was a little bit. You knew where it was going, right? You could kind of tell these two names together. Okay, we're gonna make this awkward, right? But it still landed in every way, which is just a great writing, great performing, and the magic of this episode, right? It was not. This was not Beppo, right? This was not like in a recreative, like innovative kind of sketch way. This was something that was.
There's also something to be said for to make it look like a real political ad.
Yeah.
You have to have extras that are probably real people.
Yeah.
Because that's what political ads do. They take, like, they stop by the garbage trucks and they they just shake hands with. So it looked like either they cast perfect people or they actually just went to places and said, like, can we get you guys for 5 minutes? Like, it was so good.
I think it just comes down to how good SNL's extras casting is, or even the casting for people who aren't cast members. Because
it was wonderful.
They talked a little bit about this on an episode of Lonely Island, Seth Meyers' podcast, when they talked about the grandkids in movies sketch, because they talked about the old man that they got and how good he was, and how he wasn't like your usual actor that you would expect them to put like a cast member, an old person makeup or something like that, but having a real old man in that role lent a certain amount of authenticity to it.
A lot more credibility.
And they even specifically cited, they're like, it was kind of an I think you should leave thing, where like they found like a weird person to kind of cast in that role to make it feel a little bit more awkward and realistic, you know?
That's really interesting, because I've always wondered, are some of those parts given to just like staff, right? This person's in makeup, this person's in costume.
And I think that maybe years ago, sure.
Yeah.
But nowadays, because they just, like, SNL is this big machine and they have all this money and they can do all
They
this.
have unions too. I'm sure they have.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
but man,
some of those rules.
Kudos to the extra casting for this particular sketch, because I felt like I was watching a real political ad for sure.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Really. And also, I want to say too, what the great thing about this sketch is that even if you don't know that Harvey Epstein is a real person, the sketch is still really
works.
funny.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. A fake guy with an unfortunate namesake.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great
funny.
bit. Yeah,
and it just adds a slight layer to it that it's a real person.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that's the episode. There were no cut for time sketches that I could find. We need to talk a little bit about what our sketch of the night was. Hey, first, real quick, Brad. There was one sketch you hated. What was that sketch?
I didn't hate any sketch.
I'm going to guess it was the Harvey Epstein was your least favorite.
No, actually, it wasn't.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it?
I picked Election, the edition of What's My Name, or What's That Name?
Oh,
yeah,
you're wrong.
But again, I've made it very.
Why do you like that?
I made it very clear in the review that it was not terrible or anywhere near awful.
Early on in our episode, Nate, if you remember, we did ask him, like, why'd you hate the sketch?
Mm-hmm.
So now we found out.
Mm-hmm.
He hates it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You liar.
Mm-hmm.
Said you didn't hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Just called it the worst.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what was your favorite sketch of the night?
And why was it Beppo?
Yeah, it was Beppo, 100%, all the way.
you just, I'm not just, help. Come on.
I think that if Port Authority had a stronger opening, it would have stood a chance, but Beppo was just
so off the
top
wall.
to bottom. Yeah.
Perfect.
Beppo, I want to give because it was so creative.
It was so great.
Incredible. Again, I'm going to go back to this. Incredible puppetry. I mean, just that
just the choice to make the eyes so black and glossy.
Yeah.
But it was still so real. It was so
and
unnervingly
and the
real.
blinking was so cute,
oh
too.
my God. You heard the audience literally go, oh.
Yeah.
That's so, you're playing with people's real emotions there.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
They were very nervous for
when
Beppo.
it blew up, I really felt weird. Project X, man.
Isn't that your wife? Not anymore.
Not anymore.
All right, let's go to MVP of the night. Who was your favorite cast member, or maybe even a member of the crew or host? Ben, let's go with you.
Oh, you know
a member of the crew?
Maybe even. You know what? Wally the cue card guy just really nailed it this time. I actually hadn't thought about this. So let me go with. Man, everybody was kind of spread pretty evenly here.
Do you think it was Mulaney's best episode?
I mean, I can't remember an episode with as high of like Brad was saying, as high as a percentage of wins.
But in order to give it to the host, they have to exceed.
And I don't know that you could give it to Mulaney for that reason.
Yeah, because he gave you pretty much exactly what you would expect.
Well, and I'm expecting him at a high level, and we got him at a high level, right? But that being said, everything was just so spread apart. Like Dismukes was in a few, Heidi Gardner's in a few, Eggo's in a few, Keenan's in a couple, like Bowen's in a couple. Man, I don't know, man. I don't know.
What about you, Brett?
Yeah, no, I agree with Ben. I hadn't thought about it, and like even thinking about it now, I think it's a really tough decision to pick. I mean, if anything, maybe it's one of those things where like you kind of give it as an honorary thing to Maya Rudolph because of the Kamala Harris thing, just because that kind of comes full circle and that's a big deal for her. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was spread very evenly across the cast this time. That like there wasn't really a standout where like, oh, this person had an amazing episode.
Especially because like in Beppo, it's really Mulaney and Beppo.
Yeah.
That are right. So there's supporting cast there, but nobody's really making you laugh. Right?
Yeah.
They're all just supporting characters.
And like Longfellow's great in Election, edition of what's that name?
But then the Harvey Epstein is just Mulaney.
Yeah.
Right. So now you're cutting it down to Weekend Update stuff, really.
Yeah.
And what's that name? And then what was the other sketch that I'm missing here?
The one.
What came before Harvey Epstein?
You were there.
The one was Little Richard.
Little Richard, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Keenan crushes as Little Richard, but again, not he's in
Other
that
than
one alone.
other than the possum, that was all Keenan did.
All right, so I think that if I had to pick a cast member, I think I'm going Marcelo Hernandez because the locked up shampoo was pretty fucking funny, and then also the Weekend Update. He
actually,
did a
you know
great
what?
job there.
Since Nate gave us this out this one time, I'm going to give it to Mike Diva, the director of Beppo, because he very specifically said crew member, and he's never done that before, and I think that's why he did.
All right, fair enough.
I am going to give it to the team that was a part of the last couple episodes. Jim Gaffigan, Dana Carvey.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Because they brought a lot of enjoyment
they did.
over this
They
last
really
month.
did.
They did their jobs. There was a lot of conversation.
And they did something that's been very difficult in recent years, and they made the political satire fun again, even if it wasn't always great.
And so I'm going to
I'm going to change my vote and agree with
Andy
Nate.
Samberg.
Group effort. Great job.
I'm going to stick with my pick, but I'm going to agree with Nate.
I'm just going to change because I'm a flip flopper.
No, that's true.
Especially because there isn't a lot of, like you said, there wasn't really a clear winner here. So we're probably not going to see.
You know who really won was the audience.
You're not wrong.
And I'm now that I'm saying this, I didn't say it in the cold open. Dana Carvey's Joe Biden is just fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
It is great.
Still great. Still great.
All right, that's all we have for you tonight. What other episodes do we have coming up? Have they announced?
Bill Burr will be hosting next weekend on November 9th. That's very exciting. A lot of stand-up this year so far.
I love it.
Not hating it.
Not upset.
Love it.
And then a surprising choice, only because I am not intimately familiar with their work in music, although I'm familiar with their place in pop culture and how popular they are now. Charlie XCX is going to be pulling double duty as host and musical guest on November 15th.
Another stand-up.
Or 16th, rather. Not another stand-up. But yeah, Charlie XCX is very big on the music scene right now, and I don't know what her personality is like, if she's like a good person who can maybe pull off comedy and performs in that way as well, so that'll be an interesting development.
They think that she can. Good for them.
We'll see.
So
check us out online, follow us, and all that good
see
stuff.
Bill Burr redoing or kind of bringing back any of the characters that he had in this first
I think he'll do something Boston related.
I mean, honestly, if anything, I would just love to see another. Like, he's done the Sam Adams commercial. He did a Dunkin' commercial. I want to see a pre-taped commercial in Boston because those two pre-tapes are some of the funnier ones that have come out of SNL, honestly. That Dunkin' Donuts one is awesome, and that Sam Adams one is hilarious.
I don't think the Dunkin' Donuts one is quite as good as...
No, rewatch it.
No, hold on. Let me finish.
It's so good.
I don't think it's quite as good as Casey Affleck's Dunkin' Donuts commercial.
Oh, sorry. That's the one I'm thinking of.
I didn't say...
Didn't Bill Burr do a Dunkin' commercial?
No,
Bill Burr did the Sam Adams one.
He did the Sam
Casey
Adams.
Affleck did the Dunkin' Donuts one.
Jacko Pumpkin Ale, Sam Adams.
I could have sworn there was another Dunkin' ad.
No,
though.
it's not, though. It's because Mikey Day is the idiot brother or whatever
Right.
in both of them.
Yep.
Maybe that's why.
It's a series
Yeah.
Okay.
that SNL does called Real Bostonians.
So I would love to see another Real Bostonians.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. That's my bad on the Dunkin' Donuts one.
Fair
because
enough.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, the Casey Affleck Dunkin' Donuts commercial is hilarious.
But the pumpkin jack, I don't know. It's like something like, left over in your fridge, and like they come over and they're like, "Hey, it's pumpkin shit somebody left over."
I think that he's kind of the perfect person to have after the election too. Whatever happens,
his monologue is going to be great.
Yeah,
yeah,
should be fun.
All right, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Hopefully, we're still alive.
Yeah. Actually, hopefully there's not like a coup.
Yeah,
or two.
Coot.
Charlie XCX has been on this show twice, by the way. Do you guys know that?
Yes.
I didn't know
I
that.
didn't. Oh, come on. Fuck you. Yes.
Did you know that or no?
No, I didn't know.
No.
And
Not really a fan of the show.
You
Don't
what?
really know things.
You're not a fan of this show?
Okay, oh my
I bet you if Chris Farley was still around, they would do it like Farley XCX. Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, we got to end the show on that note?
Well, what else do you want to do?
I mean, just
I don't want to.
you want
to
cut?
cut
that?
I like just talking to you guys. Who did the Charlie XCX impression, by the way?
Bowen Yang, of course.
Yeah. Did you know that, Ben?
Well, yeah, that was just like 2 weeks ago.
2 episodes ago. Yeah.
And it was a terrible sketch.
It was.
Yeah, it was not a good sketch.
I hope they bring that back. All right. That is all we have. I hope you do rate this podcast, review it, share it with other SNL fans. If you're listening on YouTube, we welcome you as well. Glad to have you. We'll be back in a couple weeks.
Actually, we'll be back in 1 week.
Is it? I thought it was in 2 weeks.
Nope.
Next week. We just said it was right after the election. And
Yeah, we had a whole conversation about it.
I wasn't listening.
all right. Until then, give your friends the Kamala Pamela and just hold their hand and say it's all going to be all right.
It's going to be fine.
It's going to be just fine.
All right. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. Hopefully, we'll be here next week. Bye-bye.